The quiet revolution, unleashing the power of introverted leadership. Imagine a world where the loudest voice isn't always the one that's heard, a world where thoughtful pauses are valued more than rapid-fire responses, a world where leadership isn't defined by who can command the most attention, but by who can listen the deepest and think the most profoundly. This isn't just a dream, my friends. It's the future that visionary leader Brendalyn Carpenter Player is working tirelessly to create through her groundbreaking initiative, Unapologetic Introvert. Today, we're diving deep into the heart of a revolution, a quiet revolution that's challenging everything we thought we knew about success, authenticity, and the true nature of leadership. And our guide on this transformative journey is none other than Brendalyn herself, a woman whose work is not just changing individual lives, but reshaping entire workplace cultures and redefining what it means to be a leader in our modern world. For generations, we've been fed a narrative that success belongs to the bold, the outspoken, the life of the party. We've internalized the belief that to climb the corporate ladder, we must transform ourselves into extroverted powerhouses, always ready with a quick response, always visible, always on. But what if I told you that this narrative isn't just incomplete? It's fundamentally flawed. What if the key to unlocking our full potential isn't about changing who we are, but about embracing our authentic selves more fully than we ever dared before? This is the radical proposition at the heart of Brendalyn's work. Unapologetic Introvert exists to shatter the false dichotomy between professional success and authentic introversion. It's a mission to create a world where introversion is understood not as a liability to overcome, but as a superpower to leverage. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Introversion, superpower, that can't be right. But I urge you to stay with me, because the insights I'm about to share with you have the potential to revolutionize not just individual careers, but entire workplace cultures and perhaps even the very fabric of our society. Let's start by acknowledging a hard truth. Our current professional landscape is built on a fundamental misunderstanding of human potential. We've created systems that reward quick responses over deep thinking, constant visibility over meaningful contribution. We've conflated leadership with extroversion, mistaking volume for value. And the cost of this misalignment isn't just personal exhaustion, it's a catastrophic waste of intellectual and creative capital. It's the brilliant ideas never shared because their creators were too drained from performing extroversion to give them voice. It's the insightful observations lost because we didn't create space for thoughtful pause. It's the innovative solutions never realized because we prioritize quick fixes over deep analysis. But here's the thing. This isn't just about introverts versus extroverts. This is about recognizing and valuing the full spectrum of human cognition and interaction styles. It's about creating workplaces that harness the power of diversity in its truest sense. Not just diversity of background or appearance, but diversity of thought and approach. Brendalyn's work is particularly focused on introverted women, especially women of color, who often find themselves navigating multiple dimensions of identity in professional spaces. These women have long been forced to fragment themselves, to leave essential parts of their authentic selves at the door in order to fit into extrovert-centric cultures. But what if, instead of asking these women to change, we change the culture itself? What if we created environments where the natural strengths of the introspective mind, deep processing, careful observation, thoughtful analysis, and meaningful connection were not just accepted, but actively sought after? This isn't about teaching introverts to become more extroverted. It's about creating frameworks that allow their natural brilliance to be recognized and valued. It's about understanding that true power often resides in those who've mastered the art of meaningful silence. Now, I want to be clear. This isn't about demonizing extroversion. Extroverted qualities have their place and their value. But for too long, we've operated under the false assumption that these qualities are the only path to success. We've overlooked the quiet strength that introversion naturally cultivates, dismissing thoughtful pause as hesitation, deep processing as indecision, and the need for solitude as antisocial weakness. But let's consider for a moment what we lose when we force everyone into the same extroverted mode. We lose the penetrating insights that come from deep, solitary reflection. We lose the carefully considered strategies that emerge from thorough analysis. we lose the empathetic leadership that stems from attentive listening and observation. In essence, we lose the very qualities that our rapidly changing, increasingly complex world desperately needs. Brendalyn's journey to this realization was deeply personal, and it's a testament to the transformative power of embracing one's authentic self. For 2 decades, she dedicated herself to strategic communications, a career path that demands constant visibility. As a communications professional with cerebral palsy affecting the right side of her body, she became masterful at making others seen while keeping herself hidden. Her body had always marked her as different, but it was her mind's natural introversion that she had learned to treat as the true disability. The exhausting performance of extroversion she maintained wasn't just draining her energy, it was erasing her authentic self. It took a health crisis, her second stroke at age 56, to deliver a message she could no longer ignore. As she lay in the hospital bed, profoundly grateful to have escaped lasting physical damage, she recognized a deeper wound that had been festering since childhood. From the age of 9, when church ministers repeatedly called her to prayer lines seeking to heal her cerebral palsy, she had internalized a devastating message. She was broken, unworthy, and needed fixing. Her introversion became both shield and prison, protecting her from exposure while reinforcing the belief that her authentic self was insufficient. But in that hospital bed, Brendalyn had a revelation. The healing she truly needed wasn't physical. It was the liberation that comes from recognizing that she was never broken, but thoughtfully designed. Unapologetic Introvert was born from this revelation, not as a business decision, but as an act of revolution against decades of cultural conditioning that has forced countless women to fragment themselves to fit extroverted expectations. This is a reclamation of power that has always existed within us, waiting to be recognized, not as weakness to overcome, but as strength to embrace. Now, I want you to take a moment and think about your own experiences. How many times have you felt pressured to speak up in a meeting, even when you needed more time to process your thoughts? How often have you pushed yourself to network or socialize, even when you desperately needed solitude to recharge? How many brilliant ideas have you held back, fearing they weren't bold enough or wouldn't be heard in the noise? These aren't just individual struggles. They're symptoms of a systemic issue. And it's an issue that doesn't just affect introverts. It affects our entire professional ecosystem. When we create cultures that only value one type of contribution, we rob ourselves of the full spectrum of human potential. But here's the exciting part. We have the power to change this. And the change starts with each of us embracing our authentic selves and recognizing the unique value we bring to the table. Brendalyn's approach isn't about teaching introverts to become more extroverted. It's about creating environments and strategies that allow their natural brilliance to shine. It's about understanding that leadership comes in many forms and that sometimes the quietest voice in the room has the most powerful things to say. This work transcends individual career advancement. When introverted women, especially those navigating multiple dimensions of identity like race, disability, and gender, step fully into their authentic power, they transform not just their own trajectories, but the very definition of leadership. They create pathways for others, challenge limiting norms, and bring essential perspectives that extrovert-centric cultures desperately need but systematically overlook. Imagine a workplace where deep thinking is given as much value as quick response, where thoughtful analysis is recognized as a crucial component of decision-making, where the ability to listen and observe is seen as a key leadership skill. This isn't just a nice idea, it's a business imperative. In our complex, rapidly changing world, we need leaders who can see the nuances, who can process information deeply, who can connect dots that others miss. We need the strengths that introverted minds naturally bring to the table. But to harness these strengths, we need to create spaces where they can flourish. This means rethinking our meeting structures, our performance evaluations, our definitions of productivity. It means valuing quality of contribution over quantity of words spoken. It means creating opportunities for deep work and respecting the need for solitude and reflection. For leaders, this might mean actively seeking out the quieter voices in your team, creating multiple channels for input beyond just verbal discussion in meetings. It might mean rethinking your hiring processes to ensure you're not inadvertently favoring extroverted qualities over introverted strengths. For individuals, especially those who identify as introverts, this is a call to embrace your authentic self, to recognize that your need for solitude isn't a weakness, but a crucial part of your creative and analytical process, to understand that your careful, considered responses aren't a liability, but a valuable counterbalance to quick, off-the-cuff remarks. This isn't about becoming someone you're not. It's about becoming more fully who you are. Now, I want to share with you some powerful stories that illustrate the transformative impact of embracing authentic introversion in the workplace. These are real experiences from women who have worked with Brendalyn and applied the principles of unapologetic introvert in their professional lives. Let's start with Sarah, a brilliant software engineer who had always felt out of place in her company's boisterous, open-plan office. She consistently delivered high-quality work, but her quieter demeanor meant she was often overlooked for leadership positions. After working with Brendalyn, Sarah learned to advocate for herself in a way that felt authentic. She proposed a flexible work arrangement that allowed her to balance collaborative time with periods of deep, focused work. The result, not only did her productivity soar, but her innovative solutions to complex problems caught the attention of senior management. Today, Sarah leads a team of developers, and she's created a culture that values both collaboration and individual focus time. Then there's Maria, a marketing executive who felt constantly drained by the networking demands of her job. She worried that her need for solitude was holding her back. Through Brendalyn's program, Maria learned to reframe her introversion as a strength. She started to leverage her natural ability to listen deeply and build meaningful one-on-one connections. Instead of forcing herself to be the life of every industry party, she focused on cultivating deeper relationships with key contacts. The result? Maria's authentic approach led to stronger, more valuable professional relationships, and she's now recognized as one of the most influential networkers in her industry. And let's not forget about Aisha, a talented data analyst who struggled to make her voice heard in team meetings dominated by more extroverted colleagues. Working with Brendalyn, Aisha developed strategies to contribute in ways that felt natural to her. She started sending thoughtful pre-meeting notes and following up with detailed analysis after discussions. Her colleagues soon came to value her in-depth insights, and she became known as the go-to person for nuanced understanding of complex data. Today, Aisha is leading major data-driven initiatives in her company, and she's changed the way her team approaches decision-making. These stories aren't outliers. They're examples of what's possible when we create space for authentic introversion to thrive in professional settings. They show us that embracing our true selves isn't just personally fulfilling, and it's a pathway to unprecedented professional success and impact. Now, I want to be clear. This journey isn't always easy. Challenging deeply ingrained cultural norms never is. You might face resistance. You might encounter people who don't understand or value your approach. But remember this, your authenticity is your greatest strength. And by embracing it fully, you're not just changing your own life, you're creating space for others to do the same. You're part of a revolution that recognizes the power of quiet, the strength in reflection, the leadership in listening. So I want to leave you with a challenge. Over the next week, I want you to pay attention to the moments when you feel pressured to be someone you're not. The time when you feel the need to perform extroversion rather than embrace your authentic self. And in those moments, I want you to pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, what would it look like if I brought my true self to this situation? What unique value could I add by embracing my natural strengths? And then I want you to act on that insight. Speak up in your own way, contribute in a manner that feels authentic to you, and watch what happens. Because here's the truth. The world doesn't need more people pretending to be something they're not. The world needs you in all your authentic, thoughtful, introspective glory. You have a unique perspective.
a unique set of strengths, a unique way of processing and interacting with the world. And those qualities aren't just valuable, they're essential. In embracing your authentic self, you give others permission to do the same. You create ripples of change that can transform not just individual lives, but entire cultures. So step into your power, embrace your introversion, be unapologetically you. Because in doing so, you're not just changing your own life, you're helping to create a world where everyone's strengths are recognized, valued, and leveraged. A world where we harness the full spectrum of human potential. A world where authentic leadership flourishes in all its diverse forms. This is the world Brendalyn Carpenter Player is working to create through Unapologetic Introvert. And it's a world we can all help bring into being, one authentic interaction at a time. But let's not stop at individual change. Let's think bigger. Imagine the impact if we could reshape our entire educational system to nurture both introverted and extroverted strengths from an early age. Picture workplaces where quiet reflection is built into the daily schedule, where deep work is protected and valued as much as collaborative brainstorming. Envision a society where political discourse values thoughtful analysis as much as charismatic speeches. This isn't just a dream, it's a possibility within our grasp, but it requires each of us to take action, to challenge the status quo, to advocate for change in our schools, our workplaces, our communities. So I challenge you today, be a champion for authentic introversion. Speak up in your own way about the value of quiet strength. Create spaces in your life and work that honor deep thinking and meaningful silence. Mentor others who might be struggling to find their voice in an extrovert centric world. Remember, every time you honor your authentic self, you're not just changing your own life, you're changing the world. You're part of a quiet revolution that has the power to reshape our understanding of leadership, success, and human potential. Your quietest thoughts are your loudest strengths. Your thoughtful pauses are your most powerful statements. Your introspective nature is your greatest gift to the world. It's time to let that gift shine. It's time to be unapologetically you because the world doesn't just need your voice. It needs your silence, your reflection, your deep insights. The future belongs to those who can harness the power of both action and reflection, of speaking and listening, of collaboration and solitude. And that future starts with you embracing your authentic self and stepping into your quiet power. So go forth, be bold in your introversion, lead with your quiet strength. And together, let's create a world where every voice, including the quietest ones, has the power to change everything. Thank you.